Hello, you're listening to Infinite Truth in Motion, episode 13, and this one is about change. We usually speak about it as something that happens. We change jobs, we move, a relationship changes, something unexpected rearranges the life that we knew, and those are the changes that we can point to. We can name the date, tell the story, explain what happened before and what happened after. But I believe change begins much earlier than that. It begins before the decision, before the conversation, or before anything around us looks different. It begins when the way we experience something starts to shift. What once felt right begins to feel different. Or when what once made sense starts raising questions. Something we tolerated becomes harder to carry, and something we dismissed keeps returning. Desires become clearer, truth begins taking another shape, and that moment may be so quiet that we barely notice it at first. Then one day, we realize we are already different. Our lives simply haven't caught up yet. And I have been thinking about how natural change is at times. Well, the body is changing as we sit right here. The brain changes through what we repeatedly experience and practice. Our nervous system continually responds and adapts to what is happening within us and around us. Life remains alive through movement. And yet, when we feel change happening in our lives, we often treat it like something has gone wrong. Why am I feeling this now? Why can I remain content with what I have? Why is something that worked before suddenly doesn't, or it feels different? And why can't I return to who I was? Perhaps because returning is rarely the invitation. The invitation is to meet who we are now. And it may sound simple, but living it is a whole nother experience entirely. Because the familiar gives us a sense of predictability. Even when we desire change, part of us still knows how to live inside the life that we already have. We know the routines, the roles, the patterns. We kind of know what happens next. And a new way of living has yet to become familiar. And not just to the mind, to the body as well. It asks us to experience something before we fully know how to hold it. And that is why change can carry excitement and fear at the same time. Or relief and grief, freedom and uncertainty. One feeling never has to cancel out the other. We can know a change belongs in our lives and still grieve what we are leaving or what is transforming. We can feel deeply ready and still become afraid, or choose something new and still miss the familiarity of what was before. And that is not confusion. That is actually very human. Real change asks the whole of us to move. It can be that the mind will understand it first. We see the pattern. We know what needs to shift. We can explain it beautifully. We might even give someone excellent advice about it. And then continue doing exactly the same thing ourselves. Because understanding change and living change are very different. The mind can arrive at an answer in the moment, but the body learns through experience. Repetition, choosing differently and discovering what we're still holding. When we set a boundary and breathing through what follows, or resting without earning it first, speaking when silence used to feel easier, allowing joy without searching for the problem that must surely be waiting nearby. One lived choice begins teaching us what an idea alone never really can. This way of being is available. And we can say that this way of being is available to me. And then we practice it again. And slowly, what once felt unfamiliar becomes part of who we are. And that is how change becomes embodied. It moves from something we understand into something we live. And I believe this is where we sometimes can lose ourselves, because we become focused on what change looks like, whether it is big enough or anyone else can see it, or does it resemble the version of transformation that we imagined. We may be changing deeply while our outer life appears almost exactly the same. Or we may change everything around us while carrying the same patterns into every new place, new space. It could be a different home, a different relationship, a different job, the same fear, the same silence, the same way of leaving ourselves behind. An outer change can open the door. Our participation is what carries us through it. Change becomes real in the way we meet this current moment and the next moment. It is in the response that we choose when the familiar reaction appears. The moment we notice ourselves returning to an old pattern and choose curiosity instead of fear or instead of difficulty, it is in allowing ourselves to begin again without turning one difficult day into evidence that we have failed. And change is rarely one clean movement forward. We move, then there's a pause, and then we have resistance, and then we go back and revisit, we learn something, and then we choose again. And the path can circle while still carrying us somewhere new. Perhaps that is why change belongs so deeply within Infinite Truth in Motion. Our truth is alive. It moves as we experience life. What was true for us once may have served the person we were at the time. A new experience can reveal another layer. A relationship, a connection can show us something about how to relate, something about love. Loss can change what matters. Joy can show us how much more life we're capable of holding. The body can reveal what the mind has been talking over. A moment of honesty can change the direction of an entire life. When our truth changes, it does not erase what was before. It includes what came before and carries it into a wider understanding. We are allowed to say, this was true for me then, and this is true for me now. And that is movement, that is growth. That is being alive enough to keep meeting life as it is, rather than demanding that it remains what it was. Some change arrives through choice. Others arrive and basically choose us. A loss, a diagnosis, an ending we never asked for. A life turning in a direction we never imagined. And in those moments, participating in change can mean allowing ourselves to feel what is present. Is it grief, anger, fear, love, confusion? There's wisdom in allowing an experience to be real before asking ourselves to transform it into something meaningful. We do not have to rush towards the lesson. Sometimes the change itself is already asking enough of us. And over time, slowly and invisibly almost, we begin responding to life from the person shaped by what we have lived. And that is change, too. And perhaps the question is less, how do I change my life? And more like, what is already changing within me? What truth am I becoming aware of? Where is life asking for my participation? Because we can spend years waiting to feel ready for a change that has already begun. We can keep asking for signs while our own lives are speaking to us every day. We can focus on having people see the change while forgetting to actually be it, to live, to let it enter our choices, our relationships, our bodies, and the way we meet ourselves. Change is participation. It is meeting what becomes true and allowing that truth to move through the way we live. One choice, one conversation, one different response, one return to ourselves at a time, because we're never standing still. Even the seasons that appear quiet, something is still moving. Something is integrating. Something beneath the surface is preparing to emerge. Change does not always ask us to become someone else. Most of the time, it asks us to release the things that kept us from being who we truly are. And that is the invitation, to stop fighting the movement, to listen, to participate, to allow ourselves to become the change we keep asking to see in our lives and around us. Truth moves because we move. We meet life. Life changes us. We bring that change back into life, and the movement continues. That is infinite truth in motion. I'll talk to you in the next episode.